Welcome to my show, Mr. Westworld. Mr. Westworld, welcome to my show. Welcome to my show, Mr. Westworld. Mr. Westworld, welcome to my show. Good evening, good people. Welcome back to another episode of Westworld. We're over on the Tennessee side of things today, and we're gonna run some content on 15 of the poorest counties in Tennessee. And everywhere you go is some poor counties, but sometimes people don't realize what's going on around them because they're not having that issue wherever they live in. But with that being said, let's roll that content. Sweet home Tennessee, beautiful place.
Behind Tennessee's image of country music, beautiful mountains, and warm southern charm, there is another side that rarely gets talked about, a side that is quieter, more remote, and slowly forgotten. Far from the glow of Nashville or the noise of Memphis, small towns are scattered across the state that seem to move in a different time. Places where access is limited, job opportunities keep shrinking, and young people leave without looking back.
Yes, they do.
Here, it is
Hold
not
on
just
one
distance that
second.
creates.
Yeah, that was true for my area at one time. When I go back home now, the city has grown tremendously, so I can't really say that. But I left in 2007. The opportunities were slim. Me and my family packed up and never looked back. But like I said, Tennessee is home and always will be. And I'm going to stand on that, you heard? But with that being said, let's jump back into this content.
Separation, but opportunity as well. And on this list, we will look at the most remote and most struggling towns in Tennessee, places where the future feels farther and farther away. When you enter Jellicoe, the first impression is not of a growing town, but of one left behind in the past. Located on the Tennessee-Kentucky border, Jellicoe once lived from the coal industry. But when that industry collapsed, the town lost its pulse with it. Today, the median household income in Jellicoe is only in the low 40,000s, far below the national average. Poverty is high, and job opportunities are very limited, mostly in small retail or low-paying local work. The crime rate here is also relatively higher than in other small Tennessee towns, adding to the sense that this place is struggling. What makes Jellicoe feel even worse is its location. Even though it is close to the interstate, the town still feels isolated, like a place people pass through but rarely choose as a destination.
Hi, my name is Pami.
Once so busy, but now seems to carry the scars of its past. Located in the southeastern corner of Tennessee, near the Georgia border, Ducktown was once the largest copper industry center in the region. But that success came at a heavy cost. Decades of mining caused major environmental damage. At one point, the area was even called one of the most damaged landscapes in America. When the mining industry collapsed, what remained was not just a broken economy, but land that needed decades to recover. Today, the median household income in Ducktown is in the low 30,000s, with very limited job opportunities. Many residents depend on small jobs or have to leave town to make a living. Its remote mountain location makes the town feel truly far from everything.
Beautiful scenery. so many remote areas that you don't even know
In
nothing
the
about.
quiet mountains of Tennessee, Wartburg feels like a town moving slowly, too slowly. At first glance, the setting looks peaceful: thick forests, winding roads, and clean air. But beneath that, there is a fairly heavy economic reality. The median household income in Wartburg is in the low
Wow.
30,000s, with high poverty and very limited job opportunities. Many residents depend on public sector work, small retail jobs, or long commutes to other towns. One especially striking fact is that the presence of a large prison facility in the area makes it one of the main employers, a sign that the local economy does not have many other options. Wartburg is not a broken town, but more like a town slowly losing momentum and still unable to find a way back.
It's a lot of towns like that. Definitely, a lot of towns.
As mentioned earlier, do not be fooled. Behind its strategic location, the town faces some fairly complex problems. Set at the foot of the Great Smoky Mountains and crossed by an interstate, Newport should have major potential, but the
Look like a
reality is
ghost
not that
town.
simple.
To be honest
The
with you,
town
look like
once
a ghost
leaned on
town.
textile and manufacturing industries. When those sectors weakened, the effects lasted for years. Today, the median household income sits in the low 30,000s, with a fairly high poverty rate. Even more noticeable, Newport's crime rate is relatively higher than that of other small towns in Tennessee, creating the sense that the town is dealing with real social pressure. Its location is not
Let me
complete.
just pause this for a second. Anytime a city doesn't have jobs and ways for people to make money, I don't know why anybody should be surprised at the crime rate, regardless to the size of the city. There's no way around it. I mean, just think about it. You know, instead of creating more jobs and opportunities for people, you push more people into poverty. That's just my input. You know, I feel like it could be more jobs, but people are greedy. They don't want to work with one another. I ain't even gonna say no handouts, but just working with one another, and that's part of the problem. But we're gonna keep on rolling the content.
Remote, but it still feels trapped in a valley, both geographically and economically. Many opportunities exist outside the town, not within it. As a result, many younger residents choose to also leave in search of a clearer future.
As they should, as they should.
Meanwhile, Mountain City feels like a world apart from the noise of modern life. Its name sounds promising, but the
Mound City
reality is much
a
quieter than you
town
might
in
expect.
the county
This is one of the most
seat of
remote towns in
Johnson
Tennessee.
County.
Even reaching the nearest larger city takes a long drive through winding mountain roads. That isolation directly affects the economy. The median household income is in the low $38,000, with a fairly high poverty rate and limited job opportunities, mostly in small businesses or local services. There is one notable upside: the natural scenery around the town is genuinely beautiful, with the Appalachian Trail nearby. But like many other remote towns,
I bet you that
natural beauty
Appalachian
has
Trail
not
is
been
making
enough
their
to
money.
significantly lift the local
You can
economy.
bet that.
What stands out most in Mountain City is its pace, slow and at times almost stagnant.
I run a podcast solo. No producer, no editor.
It may seem like an ordinary small town, but once you look more closely, the reason it falls into the category of a worse remote town becomes very clear and very specific. First, the geographic isolation is real. Linden is not served by a major interstate.
That's
It is
beautiful,
not
though.
near an economic center, and getting to a major city like Nashville can take more than 1.5 hours. That means commuting is not a realistic option for many residents. This immediately narrows job
Look
opportunities.
at that old Chevy
Second,
GMC.
its economic base is extremely limited. The median household income is only around $47,000, with
Well,
a
you
high
got
poverty rate
$0
of
on there,
around
homeboy.
20%
Well,
or
damn.
more. There is no major industry, no large college, and almost no sector that is truly
Ooh, look at
growing.
them old, beautiful
Third,
cars.
there is no economic buffer. Many other small towns still benefit from tourism, transportation routes, or proximity to a larger city. Linden does not have that. Once you really get into Salina, the reason it falls into the category of a worst remote town becomes clear little by little, not because of one major problem, but because nearly every path to growth feels blocked. It sits in northern Tennessee near the Cumberland River, but that location actually makes it more isolated. There is no direct access to a major interstate, only winding two-lane roads that take a long time to reach towns with better job opportunities. The trip to the nearest economic center can take more than an hour, which for many residents is not just far.
It's not
but
affordable if they're
unrealistic
not
as a
making
daily
any money.
routine. That lack of access is felt directly in the economy. With a median household income of only around $32,000 and a fairly high poverty rate, job options in Salina have barely developed. What remains are only small scale local jobs, enough to survive, but hard to build a better life on. Up on the Cumberland Plateau, Jamestown looks like a quiet small town surrounded by nature.
Jamestown is a
But
city
that is
in
exactly
the
where the
county
problem
seat
begins
of
to show. This isolated
County,
beauty
Tennessee,
never
United
truly
States.
turned into
Population of
economic
county
strength.
was
In terms of location,
100.
Jamestown is not completely cut off, but it is still far from Tennessee's growth centers. There is no major interstate directly connecting it, and getting to a city with broader job opportunities takes
You
quite
can look
a
at the
while.
parking
As a
lots
result,
of some of them
residents have
locations until
limited
they hadn't
economic
been
mobility.
repaved in
Working
years.
outside town is not an easy option. Jobs are dominated by
Look
small
around.
sectors such as
It's
retail,
no
local
manufacturing
services, and
places
a little
anywhere.
nature-based tourism.
Look like one right
There
there.
are attractions like the recreation areas around Big South Fork National River and recreation area, but their effect on the town's economy is still limited and tends to be seasonal.
Seasonal. Ain't no money to be made in no place like that. Not unless you own an
At
Airbnb.
first glance, Birdstown actually looks like a town with promise. It sits near Dale Hollow Lake, one of the most beautiful lakes in the region. But the more closely you look, the more the real problem appears. The potential
Wow.
is there, but it has never truly turned into stable economic strength. Geographically, Birdstown is very remote in northern Tennessee, far from interstate routes and major urban centers. Access to job opportunities outside the area takes a long time and is not practical for daily commuting. That leaves the local economy to stand on its own, even though its foundation is weak. Tourism here is seasonal, busy during vacation months, but quiet the rest of the year. That means local income is unstable as well. What makes Birdstown feel especially troubled is its dependence on something that is never consistent. In the heart of Scott County, Oneida feels like a town that is still holding on, but barely growing. It sits in the hilly and fairly remote part of Appalachian Tennessee, which keeps access to major economic centers limited, even if it is not as extreme as some other towns on this list. Job options are dominated by small sectors like retail, local services, and some public work. There is no major industry truly pushing growth, and new investment is very limited. That means the town's economy keeps moving, but never really moves forward. Regional isolation also plays a role. Oneida is not close enough to a big city to benefit from its growth, but it is also not attractive enough to become an economic center on its own. As a result, many younger people choose to leave for broader opportunities, leaving behind an aging population.
Man, with that being said, I'm gonna wrap it up. This is too sad for me.
In West
Tennessee.
Tennessee,
I'm
Parsons may not
gonna
immediately feel as remote as the Appalachian
find some more
towns, but
content
that
on
is
some of these
exactly where the trap
areas.
is. Its location.
It just amazed me of so many counties from Tennessee I have no idea about, never heard of, didn't know exist, and I'm quite sure some of these counties why I don't know they exist is for some of these reasons. There's no opportunities there, but let's keep it real. Some people like it like that because it keeps a segment of people from moving in. Let's just be real about it. So there's sacrifice not having opportunities in the area to keep people from moving in their town, things going up, city water, taxes, and a whole bunch of other things. So sometimes you can only fault the people that's around the town, the politics that's going on. You can't fault everything else because people do like they land, and they rather have their land to have people moving in and up on them. They don't want their areas to build up, and we know this to be fact. So, with that being said, sometimes you got to read between the lines when you watching things like this because everything that seems to be what it is ain't always what it is. Get what I'm saying? But with that being said, until next time, my good people, peace.